Target Darts is always constantly working with its players in a partnership to try and help them get the best out of themselves. Sports psychology is the latest thing we're introducing. Alice Pinion has joined us. Absolutely. What are we talking about when we talk about sports psychology, and how can that affect the sport of darts?
Okay, so sports psychology is about optimising one's performance at the right time, obviously. So there's two elements that I can focus on. One is in training, one is on actual match play. So a lot of darts players find training easy peasy and are at their best there, and then they actually get to perform on stage, and they'll end up actually messing up. They start to tighten up, feel the pressure, overthink, and that massively affects how they throw darts.
How much of it is up there and how much of it is there in the arm?
There's a commonly banded around sort of 70-30 split, so 70% mental, 30% physical.
What are the tools that darts players can use, and do they differ from person to person?
So some people are very visual and they will work well with what I call souped up guided visualisations. Equally, some people aren't all that visual, so they may want to have a little routine set up prior to throwing something. A lot of it is about managing your thinking away from matches. So on the days running up to an event or a tournament, it's about actually not allowing yourself to self-wind, because if you sit there and ruminate and brood, you'll actually be quite wound up by the time you get to the performance, so to speak.
We've got a whole host of elite level players, world champions all over the place at Target Darts. 16-time world champion Phil Taylor, the most successful player in the history of the sport. I would imagine that if a sports psychologist sat down with Phil, they'd probably find out he does a lot of this stuff automatically without even knowing it. Is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So some of the stalwarts at the top that have been there for years and years will actually just naturally have a really brilliant ability for tunnel vision, so they can really just focus like a laser beam on the task at hand.
If these guys can work with you, what kind of difference can we be seeing in performance level?
We're trying to generate consistency. So it depends on how inconsistent they were to start with. If they were only a little bit wobbly occasionally, they're going to see that bit improve. But if they were all over the place, they're going to have a giant improvement. So on average, I'd say about a 10% increase in performance. But for somebody who's really up there and it's fine-tuning, it could be 2%, but it's still a marginal gain, which can really benefit them. It is the difference between winning and losing. And also, for some people going through a bad patch, it can be the difference between staying with the sport and giving up.
How have you found the initial reactions from the players you've been working with?
Totally, really enthusiastic actually. But I've got great feedback even after the first session.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing how the whole project progresses. Welcome to Team Target, Alice Pinion.